So this is the idea around a international recruitment agency. You've got two options. Number one is you start off as a UK based recruiter and you recruit people from overseas to work in the UK, or you're a UK based and you're recruiting in America or you're recruiting in Dubai for domestic candidates for domestic clients. So you're just based abroad. Whether or not you want to do both, it's totally up to you. So that can be the third option. But I think you've got that in you. So where do you start? Why would you do it? How does it work, etc.? So the first thing I want you to do is in the description, there's a link to the government website. And what that has on it is all the companies that sponsor visas already. So this isn't a position where you're going to people and you're saying, can you sponsor? And they're like, we don't want to do international. We need people domestic. It becomes a problem. So what you need to do is already contact those companies. So they are broken down. You can kind of make out what they do or as a business. And you need to contact them and say, we can staff internationally, whatever you're searching for, etc. Some of the companies will be small. You'll have to sift through it. I would advise just paying someone to go through it and to find the bigger companies from there. So the benefit is these guys already sponsor visas. So they already have provisions in place where they can offer candidates a sponsorship visa and i.e. a job. So it's very easy on that side if you find the client. So for this, I would advise start with the clients first. If you've got a new business or you want to add an international arm to your business, find companies on that list, contact them and say, look, are you looking for staff? We can staff, blah, blah, blah. And if they say yes, it's going to be harder to win the client, but easier to win the candidate. Yeah, in that regards, I think you can probably find pretty much any candidate from any country, depending on what they're looking for. I.e., if I said to you, find a doctor in the UK, you would struggle. It would take a long time, especially if the salary is low or it's in the middle of nowhere or it's a specific skill set. I know vacancies that have been open for 2 years, etc., for doctors or hematologists. And what you can then do is go to India, Pakistan. You can find a doctor. It's much easier that way than finding someone domestically. Yeah, as an example. Now, the other option is you can be a UK-based recruiter or wherever you're based, and you can recruit for other countries. Now, where most people struggle in this is they look for companies that are like in the Middle East, or I think the biggest market is the American market. And if you are going to do, based in the UK, go international, recruit in that country, I would say start with the US first. The reason being is language is the same. You'll find this much easier to recruit. I've done a little bit of recruitment in America. You'll find this easier to recruit. The candidates are well more easy to deal with. And the clients they like being sold to, but they're not upfront with it. Like, they won't tell you straight. They'll just string you along. That's what I find very annoying about that. Anyway, so your business model around that is literally same thing. I would start with the clients because candidates typically can be a bit more easier to find. And you can actually offer the option if they're willing to recruit overseas as well. So you're kind of doing one and two. I'll give you an example. You're recruiting staff in Dubai. You've got a client there and you're bringing people from, I don't know, Africa, Asia, or even the UK. So there is a growing population of people recruiting or wanting to move to the Middle East, America, Australia, especially medical staff are moving to Australia. I can see why, but that's an option for you with that. So if you're running an existing business now and you feel it's a bit stale, or you've started one up and it's a bit stale, I would advise looking at exploring international recruitment, because the worst thing that's going to happen is it doesn't take off, and it's always going to be there. I think it's an ever-changing landscape. The world is changing. People can get visas, people can go abroad, people can work for 6 months and come back. That is a growing trend. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And companies or the UK government have seen, okay, instead of training staff in the UK, so nurses, we've got a massive shortage of nurses. It would take us 4 or 5 years to get X amount of staff. 30,000 nurses it would take 4 or 5 years and it's going to cost us money, blah, blah, blah. Our only option to fill a skills gap in the UK is to recruit abroad. So we've got a massive shortage of, so much skilled labor. Now, we ain't going to wait around for years to do that. We ain't going to spend the cost to train and the attrition rate. Nurses have the highest dropout. We can just recruit abroad where they speak the language, give them some training, have them work for 6 months, and then they become a qualified nurse, doctor, etc. for that. So I think that's the only option. And every single skills gap is going to be filled with immigrants, basically. So that's the way the UK is going. So option 1 could be the best option, in my opinion. Have a look at that list. It's in the description. Go through it. See if you can convince other companies to go and sponsor. Obviously, if you need help with that, I can obviously give you some tips, which I've done many times. And sometimes if you've got existing clients and you're struggling to fill positions, I always pitch international recruitment. I always say, would you be interested in a candidate overseas? You'll have to sponsor their visa. They usually say no 90% of the time. They'll keep looking, blah, blah, blah. But it's something to consider. And this is a good business. I think the highest revenue recruitment agencies in the world are all international recruitment agencies. So if you really want to scale, starting off, I would start with perm and then temporary recruitment and then obviously international. That's the sort of step in growth if you're looking to hyperscale, which I'm not, but that's an option somewhere down the line. But you can jump those steps and just become an international recruitment agency. See where it takes you. Thoughts, questions, comment below. Hope you're all well and take care.